On September 15th, 2008, the most powerful banker in America walked into his office for the last time. His name was Dick Fuld, and in the next 72 hours, he would watch $30 billion disappear. Not slowly, not quietly, all at once. This wasn't bad luck. This wasn't a coincidence. This was the result of one man's obsession with power and one decision that shook the entire world economy. This is the rise and fall of Dick Fuld. And by the end of this video, you'll understand something about money that most people never figure out. Let's go back to the beginning. Richard Severin Fuld Jr. was not born rich. He grew up in New York in the 1950s, middle class, ambitious, hungry. At 22, he joined Lehman Brothers as a commercial paper trader. Not glamorous, not powerful, just a young man with something to prove. But Dick Fuld had one trait that separated him from everyone else in that building. He was obsessed. While others went home, he stayed. While others relaxed, he studied. He didn't just want to work at Lehman Brothers. He wanted to own it. And in 1994, he did exactly that. He became CEO of Lehman Brothers at 47 years old, one of the youngest CEOs on Wall Street. Under his leadership, Lehman went from a struggling firm to a global giant. Revenue exploded. The stock price soared. By 2007, Lehman Brothers was worth over $60 billion. Dick Fuld was worth $500 million personally. Wall Street called him the gorilla, not as an insult, as a compliment. He was feared. He was respected. He was untouchable, or so everyone thought. Here's where the story gets dangerous. When you become the most powerful man in the room, the biggest threat isn't your enemies. It's your own ego. By 2006, Dick Fuld made a decision that would eventually destroy everything he built. He decided Lehman Brothers would go all in on the American housing market. At the time, it looked genius. House prices were rising every single year. Banks were giving mortgages to anyone who asked. Money was everywhere. Fuld borrowed massively and invested billions into mortgage-backed securities, complex financial products built on top of millions of American home loans. His inner circle warned him. Some analysts raised red flags. Fuld didn't listen, because in his mind, Lehman Brothers was too big to fail. He was too big to fail. This is the moment that changes everything in every financial collapse story you'll ever hear. The moment someone believes they are above consequence. By 2008, Lehman Brothers had $600 billion in assets, but they had borrowed so aggressively that for every $1 they actually owned, they owed $30. 30 to 1 leverage. One mistake, and everything collapses. In 2007, the American housing market began cracking. People couldn't pay their mortgages. Prices started falling. Those mortgage-backed securities Fuld had bet everything on, they started losing value. Fast, Lehman stock began dropping. Fuld told the public everything was fine. It wasn't fine. By early 2008, Lehman had lost billions. Panic was spreading through Wall Street. Other banks stopped trusting Lehman. Nobody wanted to lend to them. In March 2008, Bear Stearns, another Wall Street giant, collapsed. The U.S. government stepped in and saved them. Fuld assumed the same would happen for Lehman. It wouldn't. On September 10th, 2008, Lehman reported a $3.9 billion loss in a single quarter, the largest in the firm's history. The stock crashed 45% in one day. Then the call started. Other banks, government officials, potential buyers, everyone circling, everyone watching. Fuld desperately tried to find a buyer. He called Bank of America. He called Barclays. He called the U.S. Treasury. One by one, they said no. On Sunday, September 14th, 2008, the U.S. government made their decision. They would not bail out Lehman Brothers. At 1:45 a.m. on September 15th, 2008, Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy. $639 billion in assets. Gone. 25,000 employees. Jobless overnight. Dick Fuld's personal wealth from $500 million to effectively zero. $30 billion in shareholder value, destroyed in 72 hours. The global economy went into free fall. Stock markets crashed worldwide. Millions of ordinary people lost jobs, savings, homes, because of decisions made in one boardroom by one man who believed he was untouchable. So what do we actually learn from Dick Fuld? Because this isn't just a Wall Street story. This is a human story, and it happens at every level of wealth. Lesson 1. Leverage is borrowed time. Fuld built Lehman's empire on borrowed money. When confidence disappeared, everything disappeared with it. Real wealth is built on what you actually own. Lesson 2. Ego is the most expensive thing you'll ever own. Every warning sign was there. Every red flag was visible. But Fuld couldn't hear them over the sound of his own success. The moment you believe you're above consequence, you've already started losing. Lesson 3. Size doesn't equal safety. $600 billion in assets. Still collapsed overnight. No business, no investment, no empire is too big to fail. Always plan for the worst. Dick Fuld walked out of Lehman Brothers for the last time on September 15, 2008. He reportedly sold his $13 million Florida mansion to his wife for $100 to protect it from creditors. The man who once ran the most aggressive bank on Wall Street quietly disappeared. In 2010, he was asked in Congress whether he felt any responsibility. He said he lived with it every single day. Maybe that's the most expensive lesson money can buy. If this story taught you something about how money, power, and ego actually work in the real world, subscribe to Mintlore. Every week we break down real stories about real money, so you understand the game before you play it. The next video is one you won't want to miss.